Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation of the top of the I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. Our gracious and kind Heavenly Father, we're gathered here today and we're humbled to be in the presence of you. Lord, we ask that you'll be over the council tonight as always. We ask that you'll give them the courage and the wisdom and the strength to recognize areas of weakness, to recognize areas of complacency. Lord, we ask that you'll give them the knowledge and the understanding to make the decisions that are in the best interest of your name and also our community. We ask all this in your name we pray. Amen.
We do not have any special presentations, but before we get started, we've had a couple of events since our last meeting, and we had Main Street Moments. Give a real brief thing. I think Ernest will come next month and give us a final update on everything. But all the hard work that the town employees has done for these events is tremendous. So Todd, give us a quick thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The events are absolutely going well. The community is embracing the Aqua Park, contrary to popular belief in Facebook. So things are beginning to come along. I know we got a lot of plans for the Aqua Park over the winter to further develop it. Main Street, in my opinion, was an absolute hit. It was probably the biggest cruise in after Main Street that we've ever had on Main Street. So I was very tickled with that. I think it's unanimously understandable that the Friday night event, we need to review it a little bit more. The turnout for the concert left quite a bit to be desired. The band was incredible that was out there. I've heard nothing but positive comments about the band, but the turnout was just, to be honest, it was horrible. And I don't think it was a reflection at all of advertisement. I don't think it was a reflection of any actions. I think it was a reflection of our Main Street doing exactly what we all wanted Main Street to do. So that night at the front porch, I think it was a Friday night, Irma had 75 people in the front porch. The Painted Pete had a line going out the door. The 7th was loaded. So all of the restaurants on Main Street were all absolutely doing what they were designed to do, and it wasn't nobody but me and Chief out there listening to the band play. No, I'm just kidding. It was about, I think the high side was maybe 50, 60 people out there, we can say, if that. So we've actually had some conversations with some of the local people about the possibility of bringing it back to Main Street or putting it on Main Street. I've heard from some that it used to be on Main Street years ago. I don't know. But we will, as always, leave that up to Tazewell today and their group to organize that. They've done a really wonderful job with it. So I'm very pleased with it. Look forward to next year.
Chief Mills, they had an event with the police this last week as well attended, and it's night out with the cop, and David, I'll let you like that.
Yeah, last Tuesday night we had that national night out at the Lincolnshire, and we had a pretty good turnout. We probably had about a little over 400 people come. We give out over 200 bags, I think, to the kids that came. They got to enjoy the pool and the bouncy houses, and we fed them some hot dogs and had different types of food for them. But it was I think it was a big success. Everybody that came was really pleased with the event. You know, the rain held off long enough for us to get it all in, and it's really pleased how all the town employees also kicked in. Robin and a bunch of the office workers come out. Gary's guys come help to set up and get ready for it and everything, but I think next year.
Fire department came.
Yeah, the fire department came and also helped. But I think next year will be a little bit bigger and better, I think. But everybody that came was well pleased and thanked everybody for participating.
They got some very good media coverage.
It did. It did. Got news on the front page of the Bluefield Daily Telegraph.
Good job, both of you. Good job for everybody. Okay, we'll move on. Approval of the minutes for the work session and council meeting for meeting July 10th. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any corrections? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is the approval of the financial statements and financial report, July 2018. Your motion for that effect.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Questions? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Guess Todd, you basically did the update on the project, but you got some more, don't you?
I do. Is this where you want to put the Tazewell tomorrow?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. If you'll recall, we had a request for the last, 2 meetings. An entity that's being formed. Tazewell tomorrow is where they're at right now with the name. They've requested some funds, and council has asked them to come back and make some changes, and they've done so as requested. It's also my understanding from the work session that council's desire is always to continue to grow the community in all atmospheres possible, and to donate back to the community regardless of the function, as long as it has a return and a return on investment, and also viewed positively for the citizens and the businesses here in town. So I think council wants to, help the organization and be sure that it's successful in its original purpose, which is to promote the youth is what they're concentrating on, and some other events around town. They've got a request in your packet for 2 different options. I think both options are very practical. One of them is proposal 1 for $37.50, and that would include billboards in 3 locations across town. Another one is for $43.50, which would include 2 locations and 1 in Mercer County. Council would like to see the organization consider advertising outside of the political jurisdiction of Tazewell County for obvious reasons. I think everybody by now in Tazewell County is very familiar with the businesses here, but if we can advertise outside and make people more aware of what's going on in Tazewell County, specifically and biasly the town of Tazewell. So we're going to recommend areas of Giles, Smith, Russell, and Mercer. It's also recommended by my office that we operate with them the same way we did with Tazewell Today in the beginning. Tazewell Today, the town council recognized their request at 50%, and I think the other, maybe individuals or businesses along with the Atlas Foundation contributed funds to match that. So my recommendation would be to do the same thing. Also, the recommendation would be from my office to be second in. So regardless of the amount of money, for example, if it's $2,000, if council wants to donate $1,000, be second up. So in other words, they have to match, and then we're second in. Also, they have to provide verification of a 501 status. And I think it is a C3, but they have to provide verification of the 501 status. And the funds from the town, if all of those areas are matched, will be sent directly to the billboard company. Instead of going through a third party, or using Tazewell as a funnel to the billboard company, we'd send it directly to the billboard company upon invoice. Unless I missed something, canceled, I think that kind of sums up the route that y'all want to go with. So all I need is a vote to approve that they come back, again, with areas, in those 4 counties. It's also understood that the cost could significantly change either way, north or south, and that we would look at those costs again. But these are still the steps that we will take for council participation.
Hey, Todd, one thing that I might want to add is, even though we say pick Smith County, okay, at least we'll have some input of where the billboard will go.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, I think council.
We definitely don't want to be on a mountain and don't have any traffic, you know.
Right. Well, I think council's input being that you're 50%, input in that location should not be a problem. So we'll absolutely take care of it.
Okay, do I hear a motion then?
Motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Next on the agenda is, you finished, Todd?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is Planning Commission, and Councilman Bray is out tonight sick. Lee Ann's going to give us an update.
The Planning Commission met last Monday. They discussed the shopping district overlay, and they elected a new co-chairperson. So Miss Edith Jackson is going to be our co-chairperson for that committee. They also just kind of had a discussion of what the Planning Commission could do to help the businesses. It was said that there was a business in town that the only person that had ever went in their business and checked on them and said, "What can we do for you?" was Todd. And they said, maybe they could start going around and saying, "Hi, my name is, I'm with the Planning Commission," and get out there and meet the business owners. So they had a little discussion about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lee Ann. Next on our agenda is the Train Depot Committee.
Train Depot work restoration is well underway. It's looking great. Changes from day to day, so getting it down there. You might want to stop by and look in the window if nothing else. But it's really coming along. Much of the interior work is finishing up. Still some things to be done in there. We're working toward exhibits that will go in the station, and also working on the parking area, the curb appeal outside, and the fence that's going to go there. Hopefully all this is going to come together in the next few months, and the train station committee is hoping that we can have a grand opening in April of 2019 to give time to get everything in place before we do that. So that's looking great. And I'd like to share a historic moment, if I could. It's not necessarily train station related, it's transportation related. 100 years ago this month, Henry Ford put together a team of men, some of America's greatest minds, and they called themselves the Vagabonds. Henry Ford was the founder of the Ford Motor Company, of course. Thomas Edison was the inventor who developed the motion picture camera, the phonograph, and the light bulb. Harvey Firestone was the founder of Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. And John Burroughs, who was a naturalist, a nature essayist, and active in the conservation movement, as well as the founder of Burroughs Machines. But anyway, those 4 men, entourage of 6 vehicles, 2 trucks, and 7-man crew, made their way on what they call car camping expedition. The one that occurred in 1918, 100 years ago, started in western Pennsylvania, made its way through West Virginia, and in August of 19, they camped out in Narrows one evening. The next morning, they traveled through Princeton and Bluefield on their way to Tazewell, where they would spend the next evening. They were here on August 25th, 1918. They spent one day at their camp, which was down toward the cove. The following day, they left and eventually made it to Jonesboro, Tennessee for the final day of that 3-day trip. They did not look, however, like financiers, according to Louise Leslie in her book, Tazewell County. And while they were here in Tazewell, they wandered into a local store where Ford asked the storekeeper to cash a check for him. And the storekeeper asked him if he had someone to vouch for him. And Ford said, well, I've got my friend over here, Firestone. And the businessman said, well, I'm sorry, I don't know him either. So as a result, the distinguished visitors left Tazewell that day without any cash. But the next day, the newspapers had front page headlines about them visiting Tazewell, and that the 4 men had spent some time here in town before they made it to their camp. And the reports were that the merchant was never the same again after he found out who he had refused to cash a check. I think that's an interesting story, and it's centennial is this one. 100 years ago, August 25th.
That's a dirty question. Also, as you notice, you camped out in the cove without no hotel.
Some things never change.
We're working on changing it.
All right. Next on the agenda is unfinished business, and the grass ordinance discussion. And,
This
you wanna
is
read it,
actually for the second reading. I will, of course, remind you if you would like for me not to read it before, you can affirmatively vote that we pass on that. That's what may be up to the council and to the audience here tonight.
I'll make a motion that we avoid Brad having to read.
I second the motion.
got a motion and a second, any discussion?
Thank you, that was 10 inches.
Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Needs to be shown as a unanimous vote of 5. So now you need to vote
Okay.
on it.
Now your motion to adopt the grass ordinance,
Motion to approve or adopt.
section 13A dash 28.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Oh, all 5. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is the transfer of the Vandy property to the IDA.
Yes, as council may recall, with regard to the various properties that we collectively refer to as the Cox properties, there were a couple of other properties within those on the western part of Main Street, on the south side of Main, across from the GTE building, I guess the Verizon building now, and Painted Pig, and behind the, or beside the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. There's one piece of property that was not included last year, which was the Bandy property, which was one of the larger pieces that was actually held up for a tax sale that was handled by TACS and actually publicly advertised and sold. So it has never been actually conveyed. The town did purchase that property, the town does have it. I know it was the intention of having all those properties together as a block to the IDA. So what the council needs to do is to pass the resolution, and William Robin provided that for you in your packet. It needs to be passed first, and directing the Todd and execute the deed to transfer the property to the IDA.
Okay, John, we need to read the resolution, Brett.
Yes.
Okay, just 1 second. Lost some spots.
If you need me to read it, I can.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Resolution to be introduced, which was read before the council on August 14th of 2018. Be it resolved by the council of the town of Tazewell, Virginia, that the town of Tazewell is the current owner of certain real property with the improvements thereon described as all that certain lot or parcel on the south side of Main Street located west of the Tazewell County Courthouse in the town of Tazewell and identified by tax map parcel number 094B4A0082. Be it further resolved by the council of the town of Tazewell that said council determined by unanimous vote occurring at its regular meeting on tonight, August 14, 2018, that the marking and sale of the said parcel and its improvements will be most beneficial to the residents of the town if transferred to the Industrial Economic Development Authority of the town of Tazewell, Virginia. Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the town of Tazewell designates and appoints the town manager with the authority to donate, transfer, and convey the parcel as described here and above on behalf of the town of Tazewell and further confirms his authority to endorse a deed on behalf of the town of Tazewell to the IEDA, which accomplishes this purpose. We need just to have a motion being made by Councilman Brown, we need a second,
Okay,
and then a roll call vote.
okay. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Okay, second.
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, Councilman Boyd,
Aye.
Councilman Fox, Councilman Barnes,
Aye.
Councilman Patrick, Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is the new business zip line quote.
Okay, it's always been talked about the idea of growing Lincolnshire to a point where we can attract people from not only just in our town, but around the area. We've made great strides in doing that with the Aqua Park. And I get comments via email, and the ladies in the office show me stuff on Facebook from all around. So it's growing, it'll continue to grow and continue to be a success. Another area of opportunity that I feel like we should take steps toward is capitalizing on the possibility of zip lines at Lincolnshire Park. And I've talked to a couple of different organizations that actually design zip lines. And one of them felt like the project was a little too big, and that was last winter. I was actually out there with Councilman Brown looking at that last fall. And we've got another organization right now that Challenge Towers. They're actually out of, ironically, Todd, North Carolina. The individual's name is Todd Clausen. But I've got a quote here for $45.80, which will pay their expenses and design expenses to actually come into the town of Tazewell, look at the park for a couple of days, scale it, and come back with some design proposals for the town council's consideration should you decide you want to move forward with it. Obviously, being that I want to see the town grow and prosper and the businesses continue to thrive, I'd like to respectfully request council's support to proceed forward with that. We've got a line item that's in the budget right now on the capital expenses. I got $60,000 in there for the walking trail. I was actually trying to hide a little money in there for cancel because y'all found the other locations. I think that's more than enough funds to do the trail. It's going up the 460 corridor as soon as I can pull it back out of the pile. But I recommend council's consideration to approve this project with the understanding that the billing for this project will not be until after December.
Motion to approve.
I second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Price on this?
45.80,
Just for the study.
just for the study and design.
Yeah. Within that study, they'll probably do some cost analysis.
Oh, yeah.
As far as,
It'll be drawings, it'll be locations, elevations,
do they
design,
do any,
cost estimates. Yeah,
well, as far as numbers?
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll do demographics, they'll do all that kind of stuff, let you know.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the BML IP grant approval.
Okay, every now and then, well, more often than none, a member of staff will step up and, as you know, I think they're getting competitive right now when it comes to grant opportunities, but we've, again, Cindy was she's not in, but she was able to obtain a grant from VML that's going to be used towards some of the, needless to say, some of the rescue squad equipment. So I just want to applaud her efforts for, that's the second council meeting in a row that she's brought information based on the grant This was actually from VML. Just want to say thank you, looking forward for her.
We don't have to do anything.
No, just want to let you guys know what she's doing and how much I specifically appreciate her efforts.
Okay, next is the award from the VDOT.
Okay, now this was a big one again. Congratulations to town council. This is another $3 million worth of bridge replacement. And I need to thank Mr. Brewster over here for putting that together. You know, the task for those bridges, we compete against the whole Commonwealth, but that's $3 million worth of bridges inside the corporate limits that we've been funded for. I actually thank Will Moorfield the other day, had an opportunity to talk to him and his support. So, good job, Robert. Thank you very much.
As you can tell by looking at your recaps that are estimated of all the grants, just these grants, it's almost $15 million.
That's just these grants. It's
Yeah.
$15 million worth of grants that Robin has absolutely been instrumental in obtaining over the last 5 or 6 years. And that's just in bridge repair grants. That's not the other grants that we received throughout the year. So, and just for the record, we've done right at $22 million, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
And this is free money too, right?
Free money. Yeah, this is free money.
Go along with that is now the upcoming bridge work.
Okay, you've probably, if you didn't, you've got it in your packet, but you can see that the bridge located right above Hardy's between Jack Murray's house and Hardy's is right now being looked at by VDOT for superstructure work. Of course, sidewalk, and I've actually put the ad in the paper, so we're looking forward for that project. And they're looking at about 6 months, probably 4, they're saying 4, but it's probably going to be about a 6-month project. But traffic will be rerouted all the way down Benbolt to Freedom and back around. So that section going down the hill past Jackson and cut off from the traffic light for a while. A little uncomfortable, but it's going to get the project done quicker.
What's the estimated time in that 3 months, 4 months?
I think it was actually 4 months, but it's going to probably be 6. And I might have it confused with another project we're doing.
It's nice that they got the one down to Farm Bureau. I mean, it seemed like a long time, but they.
Yeah, they got it done, and then last night, our new public works director went down there and blew a hole in it. And had a water leak on it, so he had to dig up the new asphalt right beside it. And it was outside the construction zone, so it would have happened anyway, but it was real close to the overlay, but anyway.
Next on the agenda is the law changes effective July 1st.
It's that time of year during council that each year the General Assembly enacts any type of changes to the traffic and motor vehicle codes and in the state code that the town of Tazewell then needs to make sure that they adopt all those changes and incorporate them into the town code so that Chief Mills and his officers can properly enforce them. So what we need to have done, I'll go ahead and read the standard provisions that we have for this adoption every year. There'll need to be a vote for passage and then a vote for passage as an emergency ordinance that'll take effect today. Be it ordained by the Council of the Town of Tazewell, Virginia, that Section 16-2, adoption of state law of Article 1 of Chapter 16 of Motor Vehicles and Traffic Ordinance of the Town of Tazewell be and the same hereby is amended as follows. Section 16-2, adoption of state law. Pursuant to the authority of Section 46.2-1313 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended, all the provisions and requirements of the laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia contained in the Code of Virginia, Title 46.2, and in the Code of Virginia, Title 18.2, Chapter 7, Article 2, as amended, except those provisions which are contained in this chapter and except those provisions and requirements, the violations of which constitute felony, and except those provisions and requirements which by their very nature can have no application to or within the town, are hereby adopted and incorporated in this chapter and made applicable within the town of Tazewell. References to highways of the state contained in such provisions and requirements hereby adopted shall be deemed to refer to the streets, highways, and other public ways within the town. Such provisions and requirements are hereby adopted mutatis, and made a part of this chapter as fully as those set forth at length herein, and it shall be unlawful for any person within the town of Tazewell to violate or fail, neglect, or refuse to comply with any provision of the Code of Virginia, Title 46.2, or Code of Virginia, Title 18.2, Chapter 7, Article 2, which are adopted by this section. And the council of the town of Tazewell does hereby adopt and impose the same penalties for the violation of any provision or requirement hereby adopted as imposed for a similar offense under Code of Virginia, Title 46.2, or in Code of Virginia, Title 18.2, Chapter 7, Article 2, as amended, subject only to any limitation of the charter of the town of Tazewell. So I need a vote for passage and then a roll call vote for passage as an emergency ordinance.
Is there a motion for that effect?
I'll make that motion.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote, all in favor say aye. Next is the,
You
first-
need a roll call.
Roll call, isn't it?
no.
No, roll call is only for the emergency passage.
Yeah. For the emergency passage, I hear a motion for that.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote,
Aye.
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 motion carries.
It'll take effect today.
Next on the agenda is the Aqua Park video.
I'm sorry.
The Aqua Park video. Use them.
We don't have.
Okay, all right. All right. Is anybody on the list? Okay. Anything else to go off for council before we go and ask for to go into executive session? Just a reminder, this Saturday is our last cruising for the summer.
I won't be here in September. Be short.
Okay, there your motion to executive session for legal counsel and legal counsel. Yeah, motion to that effect. Yeah, a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye. We will be back shortly.